Today, I'm making my absolute favorite bread recipe. And actually, if I could only make one bread recipe for the rest of my life, this would be it. It's so easy, so delicious, and full of nutrition. It is an overnight fermented no-knead loaf that only takes 10 minutes of your hands-on time in the kitchen. I'm going to show you two different ways on how to make it. You can do already milled flour, or I'm going to also be showing you how to do fresh milled flour. So stay tuned, and I hope that you also will love this recipe. So many of you know that I have been fresh milling my own wheat berries for well over a year, and I love it. Full of nutrition, lots of B vitamins. It's the highest nutrient-rich product that has vitamin E out of all products in the world. So it's just amazing. And when I talk about fresh milled bread, the comment that I get the most often is, but we heard that sourdough is supposed to be the best. It's supposed to be even better than fresh milled bread. Well, I do disagree with that. But when I tell them that I make fermented bread with the fresh milled flour, that for some reason turns people on to be like, what? Really? And it's so much easier than sourdough. That gets them hooked and wanting to fresh mill their own bread. But like I said, for those people who don't have a mill yet, but you want to make some really easy bread, that's why we're going to show you how to use the already milled flour. This company, Sunrise Flour Mill, I have been buying from for well over 5 years. I love the products. It's glyphosate free. It's organic. It's a local mill here in Minnesota. They do an excellent job. People that use this flour, they find that going from the all-purpose flour in the grocery store to this flour, that they notice that their digestion is better. So this is like a great stepping stone if you're wanting to be like, I like the idea of fresh milled flour, not ready to go there yet. Give this a try. There's a little differences between the two recipes with the already milled flour and the fresh milled, specifically in the water category. So stay tuned, and we're going to show you, first of all, for those who don't know how to mill your flour, it's really easy. You have one of three key different equipment. So it would be a stone ground mill, a steel mill, or a lot of people use Vitamix. I don't own one. I hear it does a great job for finely milling your wheat berries. So I have a stone mill that I'm going to be using today for the wheat berries. I am using hard white wheat berries here. Wheat berries kind of look fairly similar if you're just kind of browsing through the wheat berries, but the hard white, I have found most people really just like the flavor. They're used to perhaps white bread. It does have a nuttier flavor than any white bread that you would have in the grocery store, because it has all of the wheat germ and the wheat bran in here. Other grains that I use often when I'm making this recipe is a combination of the hard white with kamut, which has like a buttery note to it. I've also used all hard red. Sometimes I do hard red, a little hard white, and kamut. I mean, I just mix it up. I think it's just so much more fun when you have all sorts of different grains that you get to add to your bread. Another one that I have done is all einkorn. It worked. It was a lot more dense of a loaf. I need to play around with that. I think I want to like maybe do half einkorn and half hard white. That would probably give me a great recipe. Let's power up the mill. I've already measured out 390 grams of the hard white wheat berries. So if you're newer to using the stone mill, this is a Mock Mill 100, make sure that you turn your mill on first before you put any wheat berries in the hopper. Otherwise, it might jam up. Okay, as you can see here, it's all done, ready for the next step. There are really only 4 ingredients for this recipe. One is the flour. Another is salt. I love to use Redmond real salt. This is the only salt that I have used for my baking for well over a year. It's worked great and wonderful every single time. I love that there's not any additives in here, and it has extra minerals that you don't get from most of the salts that you get in the grocery store. The other ingredient I use is yeast. I keep my yeast in the refrigerator at all times. Some people keep their yeast in the freezer. It helps keep it live and active. So this is instant yeast. Super important to make sure that yours is instant. I've never not used it. I think you get different results if you didn't have it. And then the last ingredient is water. So for the fresh milled flour, you need to have 390 grams of water. You're going to use less water when you're using the already milled flour because fresh milled wheat berries are thirsty, so it needs a little bit more water. So I am just going to take and use 2 teaspoons of salt and a half a teaspoon of yeast. To that, we are going to add some slightly heated water. We only are going to need to get the water up to about 90 to 100 degrees. I'm going to pour the water right over top. I got it to about 92 degrees. You want to have that water a little warm because that helps activate the yeast. So I'm using my handy dandy Danish dough whisk. Love it because it is so easy to clean afterwards. And I just feel it does such a better job than the American whisk, which just gets all clumped up and takes a long time. So here, this doesn't take too long. You will notice that your dough is going to be fairly dry. You are going to want to make sure that every little bit of flour is going to be incorporated in the water, the moisture. So that's it. So look at the texture here. I have all the flour incorporated into the liquid. It's pretty dry. I have found that if you get it too wet, then it doesn't rise as well. So aim for this. If you get yours a little wetter, that's okay. It's not going to be ruining your product. It's just a little drier is better. Now I'm going to put a towel over top. And I'll keep it on the counter. And we will get back to this tomorrow morning. We are going to move on to the already milled flour. So I'm using the Heritage bread blend, which has the organic heritage wheat. And in here, they have the hard red and the soft white that is being used. I really have had great success with this product. My son, before he got his grain mill, used this all the time, and he would make 2 loaves every single week, and this worked great. So I have a scale here that I'm going to use, and I am going to just measure out 390 grams of the flour. 394. We're going to call that good. I'm going to be adding in my 2 teaspoons of salt. And I've got the teaspoon, half teaspoon of yeast. For the already milled flour, I decreased the water to 300 grams versus 340. I found that less water is better. And I'm going to heat this up right now. So 300 grams is a cup and a half of water. I'm going to mix this a little bit before I add the water. I heated this to 92 degrees. I'm going to make sure we get this well incorporated. Sunrise Flour Mill, their pre-milled flour is very fine, which is great. And it loves to absorb the liquids very easily, very quickly. You find that your flour is needing a little bit more water. Like this one is looking like it might need a little splash of extra water here. Let me see if I can. I'm doing. Oh no, it's doing good. It's doing good. It's incorporating well. All right, I have to take a little bit of the dough off the dough hook. I'm gonna cover it up and wait till tomorrow. So of course today I was showing you how to make 2 different loaves, but really it doesn't take that much time. All you need is those 4 ingredients that you have on hand: your water, your salt, your yeast, and your flour. And whip it up the night before. Let it sit for 12 to 18 hours before you come back tomorrow morning, and we'll do the next step. Here we are 12 hours later. Let's look and see how the 2 doughs look this morning. This one has the fresh milled flour in it. Look how it rose last night. Oh, it looks great. Okay, it is very normal and common. On the top, it will have some dryness to it. That is okay. Every single time I've done it, it is drier on top. Here is the loaf that had the pre-milled flour. So it looks beautiful. Before I shape the dough, I'm going to make sure that my oven is turned on to 450, and I put my Dutch oven in while it's preheating to make sure that the Dutch oven is warm and ready for the dough to go into. Now for the shaping, I put a little flour. You can use pre-milled flour. You can use already milled flour. I like to put a little of the pre-milled flour in my freezer so it's ready to go in the morning. So I'm going to take the dough, put it on top here of the flour. So on this loaf, I'm going to show you how I use a bench scraper to shape it. And really, I just do turns. This kind of making sure that the hydration is there a little bit. Get it dough hydrated. I just do the turns. It's not much. You can just see it's already just so quickly shaped itself. So you can do two different things. One, if you are going to use parchment paper, now's the time that you'd put the parchment paper in here. I'm going to do this loaf without parchment paper. So in the bottom of my bowl here, I'm going to put a little bit more flour so it doesn't stick to the bottom. And then I'm going to have the loaf sitting in here while my oven is preheating. And it usually takes my oven about a half an hour to get preheated. I'm going to cover this while it's waiting. Okay, here's the pre-milled flour dough, just making sure that that top gets a little more hydrated. I've already put a little bit more flour down here. Okay, this dough is more sticky than the freshly milled flour. It's funny how the two doughs are different. And remember, this is the dough that I use less moisture in. I am going to be using the parchment paper. I find it interesting in the classes that I teach. Half of the students always say, can you make this bread without parchment paper? And again, yes, you can. The key thing that you're going to want to do is in your Dutch oven, put flour on the bottom so that it doesn't stick. But again, this one we're going to do the parchment paper. Okay, so for this one, I'm using my hands instead of the bench scraper, just so you can show you don't need to have fancy equipment. And wow, this one is, it is more moist. So you're just going to be doing the turns. And it doesn't take much. This one is going to take a little bit more because it's stickier. So just getting some flour. That's it. It really does not take that long. I'm going to put it back. Let's put it here in the parchment paper. And now this is just going to sit and wait for the oven to get preheated as well. The oven is preheated. I'm going to grab the Dutch oven and let's get the dough in and ready to cook. All right, because I'm not using parchment paper for this loaf, I'm going to put some flour on the bottom so that it will be a lot easier to get off when it's cooked. And here we are. This is the trickiest part with not having parchment paper. You're going to get your hands a little dirty. It's not going to be as beautiful as with the parchment paper, but it will work. And you very carefully put it in because I tell you, that Dutch oven is really hot. Put the lid on top and it's going to go in the oven for 35 minutes. I'm 35 minutes in. I am going to take the lid off and then let it go for another 5 minutes. Ooh, look at how steamy it is. Beautiful. But it needs 5 more minutes so that it can get more crispy. The first loaf is done. Let's take a look. So it is really easy to get this loaf out with a nice big spatula. All right. So Now we're going to put in the other loaf. The nice thing about the parchment paper is you lift it up, flop it down, and it's ready to go. I'm going to put the lid back on. I will put this loaf in the oven for 35 minutes and then again 5 minutes without the lid. It's been 35 minutes plus that extra 5 minutes without the lid on. Let's take a look. It turned out amazing. So one thing I want to note is if you are new to baking, make sure you take a thermometer and make sure that the bread is 205 about degrees, 210, maybe 200 works. All right, so the beauty of the parchment paper, you can grab it, pull it out. You don't have to worry as much about the pan being hot because you have that little lever. Make sure you take the parchment paper off right away so that the moisture doesn't build up and the crust doesn't get soft on the bottom. I'm going to come back in about an hour or two, maybe 2 hours, and cut both of these loaves so that you can see what it looks like inside. We're 2 hours after the bread has come out of the oven. Let's take a look inside and see the difference between the crumb. This is the fresh milled flour loaf. Again, I use the hard white wheat. Please note that if you were to cut it before the 2 hour mark, it could get gummy inside. It really does need to cool. So that's beautiful. Love this loaf. Look at it, it's nice and very soft. All right, let us cut into the already milled flour. See that? It's white because the bran and the wheat germ are taken out. It is also soft. Do like this. Okay, just want to hold this side by side. You will see the fresh milled flour has less rise because again, there's more wheat germ and bran in here. So the fiber does prevent it from rising as much as the pre-milled flour, which there's nothing stopping it from rising. Both are great options, especially using the already milled flour if you don't have a flour mill. I hope that you love this recipe as much as I do and that you will try making this recipe. Please let me know in the comments what you think of the recipe and if you have some other grains that you love to use instead of the hard white. Have a great day. God bless.